Effort never equals zero. This is chapter 1 of Effort Never Equals Zero workbook and storybook by Daily Dose of Mynar. Chapter 1's introduction to Mike Mynar, life and history, and how he got into sales. So I want to start out and just tell you a little bit about myself, who I am, my background, how I got into sales, why I chose sales, and what basically kick-started and started my career down this path of sales. So you kind of get to know me, be a little more familiar with me, and maybe have some comfort and a little bit of trust. But my story kind of goes way back. I just gotten out of the Marine Corps, ended up getting into an environmental position, working in a warehouse. So I was working with environmental stuff, chemicals and things like that, and I was a warehouse manager. That was my job fresh out of the Marine Corps, 21 years old. And I remember we were on a little work trip, and I was at a bar, 21, having a couple cocktail drinks, having a good time with some of the friends there, and kind of went over to this lady and asked her if I could get a cigarette from her, bummed a cigarette, just like any old 21-year-old that didn't have cigarettes. And I ended up striking up a conversation with this lady, and her and I were having a good time just chatting and talking. And she basically asked me, she goes, "What car lot do you work for? I want to get your business card. I'm going to come buy a car from you." And I said, "Ma'am, I don't work at a car lot." And she says, "Well, yes, you do." And I said, "Well, no, I don't." And she insisted. She says, "Well, you're really good. Your conversation is really fantastic. The way you handle yourself, very confident. Everything you have to say tells me you work at a car lot. You're a salesperson." She goes, "I definitely want to buy something from you." And I said, "Well, ma'am, I really appreciate that, but I'm actually a warehouse manager. I work in a warehouse." So it took probably 10 minutes of going back and forth, and she didn't want to believe me. She kept insisting that I had some great sales talent inside me. And I was like, "Ma'am, I've never really, had a sales job. This is my first official, job outside of the Marine Corps. And, I haven't done sales. I'm working in a warehouse." Well, she told me, she goes, "Well, you should get into sales. Period. You're good at it. I can sense it. You should get into sales." And so that lingered in my head, and the environmental job wasn't really what I wanted, as a career path. What do I want to do with myself? And so I started looking in the newspaper back then, what kind of sales positions are open. And I recall seeing this big ad, and it was a huge, long quarter page or whatever, half page ad. It sounded really fun, do some traveling, stay in some hotels, go into other towns in California, make some good money, or make a lot of money, be a part of a team, learn a new trade. So I really was intrigued, and I remember I made a phone call and I talked to the gentleman, and he told me all about it, but I didn't do anything about it, and so I didn't go in, just kind of let it linger. I mentioned it to my wife at the time that I had, and she didn't exactly agree. The idea of going commission only, the idea of relying on your paycheck as based on what you produce, was quite scary. For me, for some reason, it didn't scare me. Granted, I was 21, I was young, fresh out of the Marine Corps, ready to go. I wasn't afraid, and so it didn't take much longer. It kind of nagged at me, and I kept thinking, man, I really should get into sales. And so I ended up calling that ad back a few months later, and the same man I spoke to, and he said, "Yeah, come on in Friday, let's do an interview." So I didn't have a shirt and tie at the time, a proper attire, and so I went to Sears and bought an outfit and got a tie, and I was having a little bit of trouble tying the tie on the regular way, because in the Marine Corps we tied our tie a certain way, and I was just kind of nervous. And there was an older gentleman stood in line, and he helped me tie my tie right there, made me look all sharp, and I really appreciated it, and had my confidence, hey, I'm really applying for something here, So I showed up to that interview, and I sat there just like I would in the Marine Corps, my feet at a 45-degree angle, my hands on my knees, sitting upright and straight. And the gentleman across the table was asking me, a little bit about me, what I've done. I just, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. The whole time I just kept telling him yes, sir. And then he expressed to me, he goes, "Based on your age, you're really young. I normally wouldn't hire somebody of this young, because you got to go in a house. You're going to sit down with people. You're going to sit down with older folks, and you're going to be offering $20,000 and $30,000 and $40,000 and $50,000 projects. And it's a concern at your age. These people are going to be able to trust you. They're going to want to be able to buy these type of products off you." And he said, "But there's something about you You're very well disciplined. And he goes, I just have a gut feeling. I'm going to go ahead and hire you. Training's going to start on Monday. I was like, woohoo, excited. Here I am. I'm starting my adventure. I'm going to be going into sales. I'm going to be learning a new trade. And so that following Monday, I took that class, and the teacher that taught the class wasn't the guy that was hiring me, but the teacher was fantastic. I went on to know him for probably the next 10, 12 years of my career. He was a great guy. And we got in there, and I think there was about 15, 16, maybe 17 actual representatives all in there to learn. And it's a class environment. I really paid attention. I was really excited. Asked a lot of questions, answered a lot of questions, just super excited. And by Friday, when the class was over, not to brag, but I was top of the class. I outperformed everyone else learning the process. Now, I chalked that up to the fact that I came out of the Marine Corps. It wasn't that long ago. Went through a lot of training. I was used to training, paying attention. So that might have helped, but something inside me was really eager, and I think that lady telling me that I'd be good at sales really just boosted my confidence, but more of a challenge. Is this something I could really do? And then the interview, telling me I may be too young, are people going to believe in me? Are people going to buy from me? Just a big combination of all that. Am I going to be able to sell? Can I make it in a commission world? So I came out of that training and did ride-alongs that next week with my mentor at the time, my trainer, the one that hired me. I remember that first job we sold. That was awesome, except for I started talking in close, and he reached under the table and kicked me real hard in front of the customer, because that's the first lesson I learned about sales. When you have two people in the house, only one person does the closing, one person does the talking, the other one needs to be quiet. So what an interesting way to learn. And it wasn't but about a week and a half later, I was able to go out on my own. And my mentor at the time, he saw how well I was doing and how quick I learned how to perform the sales process, and he pretty much decided to throw new people in the car with me, and I got out there with them and started training them. So I was about 3 weeks into the position, started training them on how to sell. And I got to tell you, it wasn't much longer after that, a couple months later. My wife, of course, didn't want me to do the position at the time. She was worried and scared, I'm not going to make enough money. But that money started rolling in. I started closing deals, and it got to the point where my sales manager was asking me, basically, we had a running tally. We'd get our weekly paychecks. He would say, how much money you want this week? And I would tally up what I knew I had to pay him bills, and I'd say, I want $400. And he's like, that's all you want? And I said, yeah, I'm good. He goes, man, you got, $3,000 or $5,000 in your hopper. I said, that's okay, I don't need it. And I just started operating like that, just taking what I needed to pay my bills. And then I remember it wasn't much longer after that, about 3 months or so, my wife and I walked into a furniture store, really needed a couch, and she started pointing out these other cool pieces of furniture she wished she could have, sofa table, stuff like that. And I just went over and told the sales guy, I said, hey, how much, and then I said, put all that on my tab, I want all those items. And she had no idea. And we get down to the end, and he starts telling her and me what we're getting, and she's like, oh, wait, we can't get that stuff, can we? I said, oh, yeah, not a problem. And I pulled out my checkbook, and I remember, man, that was the greatest thing at 21 years old. I could just write out, boom, the full amount, paid in cash, paid in full, brand new furniture for our house. Just a wonderful time being able to create that. So that was kind of the beginning stages of my sales career. Started training 3 weeks into the business, fell in love with it. I always had a sales rep in the car with me. I always wanted to train someone. It actually made me better, gave me a chance to show people, what I was very capable of. So it was exciting times, to be able to grow up in the business like that. And just to learn it, the opportunity's there to spend the time, and your paycheck, your income is just endless possibilities. There's truly no cap. It's how hard you work and how you perform, and of course the effort you put out, because effort never equals zero. So that's kind of an introduction of who I am, my background, how I got into sales. I love it. I'm passionate about it, and I love training. I love letting other folks know, giving them the skills and the insights, into what I've done over the years. And so that's the purpose of writing this manual, this book, is to hopefully help others to grow in their career and basically get addicted to selling, addicted to getting those yeses. Because because I'm going to teach you throughout the process that money comes easy and often, because effort never equals zero. You're putting out that effort, that money's going to chase you. Don't chase money. And so you're going to be able to do this where it's not about money anymore. Money's just going to be a drop in the hat. It's really going to be about the fun, the relationships that you create, and just knowing that you've learned to be able to have people trust you and to sell jobs that are $20,000, $30,000, $60,000. And by the way, that age for me did not matter. I was closing deals from anywhere from $600 to $75,000. It didn't matter. You know, people listened. I was confident. My age didn't matter. I get in front of them. In fact, a lot of the retired folks, you know, they loved me. They treated me as if I was their grandson. You know, hey, you should marry my granddaughter. So my running joke for the longest time was, you guys are going to adopt me into the family. So they really respected how hard I worked, and you know, the energy I put into it and the confidence I had into it. So that's what the sales is. So I look forward to the next chapters in the book. I look forward to training, giving you insight, and hopefully be able to increase your sales. So if you can just kick back for the ride, you know, and just pay attention, and hopefully you have a good time. So that's a little bit about Mike Mynar, the daily dose of Mike Mynar. That is chapter 1.